Hello and welcome to your LifePrintOS operating system personalized performance software. In this video, we're just going to take a very brief overview so you know exactly how to navigate your software and what is available to you for you to discover about yourself. I want you to also just imagine that you had this information on everybody else. You were able to access this information for everybody else to help you with your relationships, whether that be personal or professional. So let's dive in and have a look at our LifePrintOS operating system personalized performance software. Welcome to your behavior analytics. This is 17 plus years of applied behavior science, coaching, change management, integrative medicine, and everything between you and your reality, how it is that you perceive information, how you make decisions, how you gather information, how you interact with your environment and other people around you, how you physically and emotionally express yourself, how you emotionally articulate yourself. And so there's a world and wealth of information in here. So firstly, let's start at the top. This is what we would call your coaching card. And so this is me. And you'll notice that at the top over here, there is what I call a stopwatch. This is like a sprint. And so if I click this, it's going to show me my resonance in terms of month to month to month. And it's just going to give me a kind of timeline in terms of how my energy will be cycling. This is not a clairvoyant tool. We're not psychic. We're not looking at the future, but we're looking almost like looking at the weather. What's the weather pattern going to be? What's the environment? What is our energy system going to be doing? And how can we take advantage of these natural resonance fluctuations in our life, right? And so that's just going to give me a detailed overview, and it'll give you just a side, just kind of highlight the most important energy that's kind of happening. Next on the top, we have a play button. This is going to visually show you and represent our algorithm and what is really happening with the data represented in the software. And so this is your energy torsion field. This is how you cycle information, energy, and consciousness. And basically, this is the field. And you'll notice that these four elements that are detached from this main centrifuge is literally all the information coming in from the environment and you sending all the information out, and it's in this constant feed forward feedback loop. So we have a conversation, a person replies, we think about it, and then it cycles back out. And so we have this constant feedback feed forward loop in terms of how we function. For the therapists, for the practitioners, for the anybody that's running a private practice, this goes all the way down to the genetics. This becomes a DNA manifold in terms of frequency, vibration, and energy coming from the centrioles, traveling through the microtubules, and then basically encoding that information in the nuclei and for the DNA and the genetic coding. And so there's a wealth of information depending on what layer you really want to look at. But for now, we're really looking at just getting to understand ourselves. And so we just wanted to show you in terms of how that cycles. Obviously, it is an expanding and unifying structure. That's just showing you its spin, but it also actually goes into torsion. So it literally goes through a unification and an expansion. Okay. And at the center there, you'll just see our model for the unified field and basically what that looks like in terms of a geometry and how that's expressed in terms of its plane of horizon, its perception model. Okay, good. And then last but not least, there's a little calendar with a plus sign. And this allows you to basically map your energy field in terms of different dates. So you can cycle to the past and you can cycle into the future. always love to do this because if there's any kind of personal highlights that you have, perhaps either an exciting and an amazing time where things were just incredible, or typically what we have in our memories are moments where things were, where day was just, we can even remember the exact date where it was just literally we were getting so hard and there was really a memorable moment that's in our memory where it was quite challenging or let's say traumatic. And so you can discover what your energy was really doing on that day. So you can cycle forwards and backwards just to start having a look at a plan and cycles and when you should be doing and taking advantage of those energy resonances at which moments. Okay, perfect. And so that's your coaching card. And so within our full CMS system, you've got a workspace that you can click into and you can have all your clients and all your teams if you're an organization, or your personal relationships. And you can see how all these individuals are actually reacting from a behavior and psychometric perspective. Okay. And you'll notice that every time you roll over something, it'll give you more information about the thing that you're on, so the position. So the first one is life cycles, what developmental cycle you are in as a human being, what year within that developmental cycle you're in, kind of like your Russian dolls, right? So your Russian dolls are very much like your life cycles. And so your year, what year are you in within that life cycle development, right? And so those Russian dolls basically are all as you develop. And so every year you go through a cycle of development as it relates to the developmental cycle. And within each year, you go through different frequencies of that cycle in terms of amplifications. And then every day, obviously, you have an energy. So these are kind of all nestled within each other and all relate to the current life cycle. So it's always as it relates to where I'm at within my developmental channel. Okay. Then down, we have the physical consciousness. So our physical everyday life, and we have our higher self-consciousness. How that information and energy, if we have a physical, we also have an energetic. And so our higher selves are more of our energetic ascension model, where it's trying to contract that information into us. And our physical selves, where we're trying to expand and grow and be better people as we develop along our path. The next piece that we're going to have a look at is the physical consciousness. And you'll notice that the neurological archetype, this is, and if you roll over here, you'll see neurological archetype. You're like, well, what is that? And it'll tell you the definition of what it is that you're looking at here. So the high achiever. So neurological archetype is just defining how your brain is wired, how your decision model works, and then how you express that into the world. Are you a conceptual thinker and decider, or are you a goal-orientated thinker and decider, or are you a combination of both? Do you express yourself more dominantly? Are you more passive? Or do you use a combination of both? Okay. And then if you click onto the high achiever, right, you'll notice click. I can go in and I can read all about the high achiever and how it is that I am basically governed, how my brain is governed, and how I basically interact and engage with my reality. So this is the most general sense, and basically all the other profiles and personality and performance patterns inside will operate always at this functioning, right? So this will be the major job. Let's call it a job description. Okay, so this is basically the main job description of the operating system. And then how that is achieved is through all of these other ones underneath, right? So there's the expression dominant 4.5. Here's the decision making, goal orientated 6.5. Okay. We'll go into a little bit more detail. We just want you to have an overview in the next video. So if I go here, home performance. What is home performance? I can overview the definition. When I overview, okay, home performance, it says the connector, when I roll over the connector, it shows me, it says, these are the growth mindset traits. This is when somebody is in intuitive flow and everything's just kind of working and functioning, like swimming downstream and just chilling on your lilo and enjoying yourself with friends. But if I click in here, It's going to give me all the detailed information of exactly how this person, basically what they value at home, what their needs are, what's their highest driver of meaning, and what is their main personality pattern, right? And it's going to give me all of that information, okay? If I click out, I can go to professional and social. Once again, there's the definition. Oh, what is this? This is how somebody basically operates at a professional level. This is the professional identity or the social identity. We have a home identity, right? Then the career and purpose, same definition. Inner identity, definition. Instinct and intuitive performance, definition, right? So career and purpose, what is the, right? How purposeful am I doing things in my life, right? Am I doing things with purpose? For me, purpose is not something that you have, it's a doing word. So are you purposeful, right? Are you full of purpose? Are you doing things purposefully, right? So start the vibration in which you do things, or are you just doing it for the sake of doing it? And so this is where the meaning comes into it in terms of purpose, right? So what is the trajectory? What is the projection in terms of where are we moving to? Also is very important in terms of career. What do we want to be fulfilled as we develop and grow? What's important for us within that arena? Then we have the inner identity. It's like people know us at home as our personal and intimate friends and partners. They know us socially and professionally, but we know how ourselves to be, what we are on the inside. And typically our most intimate partners will see this. They'll start to see glimpses of this, but this is something that we really keep for ourselves, right? And so it's almost like your internal vision. You then have the instinct and intuitive performance, incredibly important position and performance profile. This is actually your stress switch, right? This is actually when you're stressed out and you start to spiral. This is the first position that literally will spin everything else out into either a growth or a protective mindset. And so if you think about this, this is when you instinctively respond, when you're just in reactive mode, okay, and you're just reacting to the environment. Often you don't have time to think about things, and sometimes you just instinctively jump out of the way and you don't know why, and then a car goes past. It's where you don't have time to really think or process, right? Whereas the intuitive side is where you're really in that flow state and you're very conscious, you're very aware, and everything just seems to be intuitive. Like there's no resistance, there's no kind of struggle, there's no strain, and it switches us into a growth mindset. Okay. Like once again, if I go to the right side, I'll see all the growth and the protective mindsets. And so each position is a performance profile and a pattern, but it also works all together in a symphony, in a synchronicity. And it basically kind of all feeds and plugs into each other. There's different combinations and how this all kind of comes together. Underneath that, in our relationship performance profile, these are basically the unconscious drivers of what's driving us unconsciously. What do we want from our relationships? What do we value in those relationships? And what do we need to be aware of? What does that really mean to us? And that can be looked at as both a professional and a personal context. Next, I want to take you over just to the right. We're going to start on the right-hand side. Is the satellites, which is, remember, these are the four pieces that are spinning at the top that are kind of cycling in and out. And this is how we engage with our environment. And we use all of these patterns of performance to engage with our environment. And so you'll see approach, strategies, and tactics. This will be typically how somebody will approach and what strategies they'll use to engage with people, to engage with their environment. And then what are their challenges and what are their lessons as it relates to their strategy, okay? And so all of this coming together in terms of what do we need to be aware of with this person? What do we need to be aware of with ourselves? What are the things that we need to learn? What are the lessons? What are the challenges that we're always gripping with? And how do we overcome those to ensure that we are growing at a pace that we're excited about? For me, there's nothing worse than standing still and being stagnant and not changing. and life to be this just drone of the same and the same and the same and the same. You know, that's frozen states of just not being able to do anything, and feeling confused and so stuck and shut down, and watching everybody else develop and go by. And so this really gives you access into, okay, what do I need to do in order to feel like I'm winning, in order to feel like I'm growing, in order to feel like I'm moving forward and progressing with my life. The universal movement you'll see is a frequency. This is kind of like your your channel, right? So it's kind of like your lane. So imagine that you're a car and there's 8 billion cars on the highway. What the universe has done is it's put it onto wavelengths and frequencies, almost like stacked it, or it works differently, but it's holographic. So it's basically given you a current, like a current to work in. And so this current just determines how the universe is moving you and towards what, right? So it's just kind of, think of it in terms of ocean currents. And so it allows you to realize, okay, this is what the universe, how the universe wants to move you. It's kind of, I was working on a philosophy not so long ago, how to get it, how to move without moving, right? And it sounds very weird. How do you move without moving? Well, you allow yourself to be moved, right? And so I basically, and that's what the Taoists believed, is they believed that there was a flow and a natural force and a natural cycle of things, and that nothing really struggles to grow. And if you basically just let go and go with the flow, it's not to say that life is going to be easy, but you immerse yourself into that movement and you allow yourself to be moved towards things. And this is a combination of intuitive performance and universal movement, because you've got to be plugged in, you've got to be aware to understand where the wave is moving you, right? And therefore you can take the choice and take the current, or you don't have to take the wave, right? You still have that choice. It's still a decision that you make. And so part of that is just how the universe is moving you. And then we've got the subtle sense of receiving, in terms of what's all the information in and around you, and how is that information then being packaged, right? Almost like a zip file, because we've often got so many things going on at one time, like spinning 21 plates. And so it's like packages all that zip file up and it sends it into the internal field and the universal field. And so the universe or the planet or wherever you are geolocated or universally located. Geolocated would be planetary, but we live in a galaxy and the universe and so on and so forth. And so everything in terms of universal awareness, consciousness is all there, and it's all packaged so it knows exactly what that biofeedback mechanism is, towards that unified view. And so what we're really doing here is basically having a look at a very detailed map of how this perception model, you, is mapped. And then how does that map basically read the information and react to the information and cycle that information in its relationships, to itself and to the outside world of how reality really works, based on the neuroscience of the brain and how our perception and how our all our senses basically come in together to create a to give meaning and messages to us in our world. And so if we understand all this from a self-development perspective, there's a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information here. If we understand this from a relationship perspective, it really allows us to understand somebody else's perception and worldview model, and therefore we can meet them where they are at, because we understand what it means to them. And in that communication and in that conversation, we reach a place of connection, because it's almost like we can reach into their hearts and almost connect their heart with their mind. And there's nothing better than feeling understood. There's nothing better than feeling acknowledged, understood, accepted, and then enjoying the appreciation of what comes with a very deep, loving, trustful relationship. And so I hope that you discover this relationship with yourself. And I look forward to diving a little deeper with you in further videos. Let us know, by the way, before I go, let us know what you think. Let us know how accurate the information is, if it's helped you. We really want to hear from you. This is a new technology. We've been in development for pretty much over 12 years, 15 years, but we're really only coming to market now because we had to be sure of the science. And so the research and the development has done over 100,000 case studies with an over 90% accuracy rate, providing the data is accurate. And so welcome. I hope this helps you. This is our gift to the world. It's something that I wish I had when I was much younger. It would have definitely changed the game and saved me a lot of pain. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is my life's work. If you would like a printout of all the information there so you can have it as a little handbook or manual, we'll be sending you a link for that in the coming email. Thank you very much. My name is Justin Damien Finesse. I am CEO, creator, and founder of the LifePrintOS. And thank you for joining us on this journey.